your family is very multicultural. So you grew up in France, but you lived in other
Yes,
countries as well. And then Russia came
yes.
into the picture too.
Student, I lived 1 year in the US. And then as a professional, just before that Russian experience, I lived in China with my family, and we have adopted our kids in China as well. So we have a real multicultural family because at home we are a bit of Chinese and a bit of French culture. So we are a
Yeah.
blend of both. And that opens your mind anyway. So you have a sort of a field of openness. And yeah, living in China was kind of exotic, challenging. But for me professionally, I was in my French company. So I moved and been expatriate in my company in China. And that made a big difference because you're still at home. You're in a foreign country, but you're in the same culture in terms of company. When I moved to Russia, I was in a new country and I was in a new company, which was a Russian company. So the shock was huge and was fantastic as well. In fact, in 1 year, so professionally, I learned a lot about myself and I learned about others. The experience I had professionally, I could tell you stories where I've been challenged, I've been shaked, I had to dig in my own resilience to face what I had to face. And I thought I would be prepared because I had that experience to face or to live in another culture, to work in another culture. So I could see patterns. However, China is China, France is France, and Russia is something else.
Of course, I can certainly relate to what you were saying about immersing yourself in a different culture. And um, you have that illusion. I mean, I did have that illusion too, that if I lived in so many different countries, I can adjust very quickly to new environments, new situations. Yes, I experienced that too. But then each country presents its own challenges and opportunities for you. So
When
it's
you
interesting.
grow up in France, you're not raised with a good image of Russia.
Mhm.
So that's also in your background and in your mind, and you have all what you have been told when you were a kid, when you learn history, and you don't have the full picture. But I was like, I'm not this kind of person to be influenced. I like to see things by myself. So that's how we decided to yeah to take the challenge and say that we had much more to discover and to enrich ourselves and our family and our kids with that experience. I
So
had the chance to be recruited by a Russian company, and I was kind of excited to say, oh, there is an opportunity. We have been living in Europe, so in France, in China, and here we have something in front of us which might be very exotic. And we had friends, French friends in Moscow, which I knew were there by Facebook. And I contacted them so that during my interview, we could also discover Moscow. So during 1 week, we stay there. My husband and my kids came with me for the interview, not for the interview, but for 1 week in Moscow. And we had a chance to, for myself, discover the company and for my family to discover Moscow. At the end of the week, we were charmed by Moscow, charmed by the people we have met professionally or personally. However, I said no for the offer, and I was like, no, because of the job itself, I had doubts. But then I couldn't sleep because Moscow and Russia was in my mind. And I was waking up every morning like Moscow, Russia, Moscow, Russia. And then I finally met my future boss in a fair. And, we did a chit chat like this. And he said, we are still waiting for you. And I was really pleased that he was so open, so patient, so nice, so respectful. And then I was like, okay, stop hesitating, just go. And in my corporate experience, I have struggled with my team members and with the Russian crew, but most of them are my friends now.
Company. What was it like for you? What was it that you had to adjust to? What was so vastly different for you there from what you were used to before?
So first of all, I think that you have different blocks. The first block was my direct team, then the management, my direct management. So I was managed by a German lady and a Russian executive. And then I was exposed to the executive teams, and then peers within the company who were international, because the CEO had that perspective to also make its company grow thanks to some different background in different countries in different companies, which was very smart. And then the CEO himself. My first challenge was to arrive with my background and my own convictions. So I had 15 years of experience in one culture, one company, one culture, one corporate process. So I would not put that on, the Russian side, more like myself. Then in terms of culture, the communication, the codes, the rhythm, the pace of a day, the way to approach strategies, the way to approach time, the way to approach trust. How do you build trust? All those elements, you have to unpack each of them.
Yeah.
You have to fail, learn, try again, then step by step succeed.
Mhm.
And I always say to my team when I work in an intercultural environment, I'm going to make 50% of the way towards you. I need you to do 50% as well. I'm going to give you one example, very concrete, of my first meeting when I introduced myself to my team. So I had, I think, like 15 people in front of me. They were all sitting on chairs, the back on the walls, very strict, very serious. And the HR manager was with me, which, I didn't even understand why he was there, but he was thinking that he was a shield between the team and myself, but I didn't have a clue. And I was like very enthusiastic, very motivated, presented myself like, friendly way, my background, my family, and so on. And then each of my team member presented themselves roughly, very harsh, just the strict necessary information to give me at this stage. No smile.
Mhm.
And I couldn't raise any energy from that room. And then at the end, I said, okay, do you have any question for me? And one of them stood up very aggressively. And she said, what do you understand about Russia?
Mhm.
And really, you could see that go away. You don't understand Russia.
Okay.
And don't speak to us. And I was surprised. Believe me, I didn't feel really comfortable at that moment. And I told her the truth. I don't know a lot because I haven't learned a lot about Russia.
Mhm.
However, I'm not here to know Russia. I'm here to bring you my international experience and my 15 years of experience. However, I would count on you to tell me about the culture and to elevate my knowledge of the Russian culture. That's my expectation. That's my 50-50 that I was talking about. And I could see that lady who became a dear friend now of mine getting very emotional and starting to be red here and having some tears, not out, but like I could see the tears in the eyes, like these Slavic emotions,
Mhm.
which was very strong. And she said, okay, sat down. It was the beginning of the fight because she didn't give up. She has tried to really push me out during months. And not only her, she was one of the leader, but
Okay.
she has challenged me because I think she was challenging me my real engagement, my real heart. And that's what I didn't understand, because when you look at Russian, first thing, everybody is telling you, oh, but they are not amicable, they are not friendly, they don't smile. Yeah, maybe true. Not all of them, but maybe true, like a sort of a caricature.
Yeah.
But break that shield, break that face, and then the heart suddenly is huge. And if I have, if I would speak to somebody who would do a similar experience, I would say, try to get to that level of connection.
Looking back on that experience and so many others that you've had in Russia, if somebody asks you now, what's Russia like? So, Sophie, you've lived in Russia, you worked in Russia. What's Russia like? What would you answer?
So I've got questions, because when I say I've been working in France, in China, in Russia, people don't want to know about China, they want to know about Russia first. So I got that question many times. And I can say that I'm an ambassador of Russia because each time my answer is that people are so beautiful, so nice, so friendly. And everybody's like, I can't believe you. Really? That's not the image we have from Russia. So that's my first thing. It's the beauty of people, that emotional connection that we got with them, and how deep that became as well. So it was not superficial, not at all. It was, yeah, more than friendship.
You talked about your transformations, how you've changed your impressions of Russia, your understanding of the country while working here and living here. But what about the people that worked with you? Have they learned to be maybe different, to be more flexible, to be less rigid? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that they have taken on board lots of elements that I was bringing in terms of leadership, in terms of behavior. Because when you are a leader in a country like this, and that would be similar in China, they don't look at you only in your office. They look at you as a family. Okay, how do they live? So we are exotic in a way. So people were very happy to see my kids, see my husband, and see how we were living and why. So yeah, I do really think that they have transformed. And interestingly, I'm not saying that's good for the company, but some of my direct team members have resigned when I left. And they have joined European company for one, and the other one left for Europe, and she's currently living in a European country. So I think they have transformed a lot. They have seen themselves in a different way. But what has touched me to, the level of the tears, my birthday happened a couple of weeks after I arrived. We are not used in France culture to celebrate birthday as it is done in Russia. But what has touched me, it's the present. Not because I'm somebody, that I want to have present, because I was not expecting anything. But in this couple of weeks, they had prepared a book about Russian culture. So they have heard that I wanted to get in that Russian culture. And I told them as well that I love classical music, ballet, opera. And they gave me, for my kids and myself, a ticket for opera, for an opera night.
Amazing.
Wow. I have goosebumps telling you this, because I'm going to share with you a secret. I don't know anybody in my surrounding, my friends, my family, who has done such a beautiful present, which was so connected to my soul. And my assistant and my team, they were able to get into my soul.
You earlier said that it's important to meet each other halfway. Like you do your bit and the team has to do their bit. But speaking, let's say globally, in a global context, what do you think Russians and foreigners, especially Westerners or Europeans, should do to meet each other halfway?
That's a beautiful question. That question makes me desperate that there is such a gap between us. I'm going to focus on France
Okay.
because I can be very precise. France and Russia have history in common. My assistant knew French literature better than me.
Mm.
Okay, so she knew the French literature, she was speaking French, and she knew our history. And most of Russian have that level of culture. So I think that we should understand where we are at, what is our history, what is our past, what makes us able to connect on culture, on philosophy. We have so much in common. I think that we should forget a couple of minutes media.
Mhm.
And I think we should do research by ourselves and get a little bit more neutral on our perspective in Europe and on our perspective in Russia in order to clean that political pollution, which is damaging what could be built at individual level. And how do we make Russia popular? How do we make Russia being known? How do we share the wonder of Russia? Because frankly speaking, so Russian, they knew us. I knew nothing. When I discovered the churches, the beauty of the architecture, when I sat in the opera, you know, like almost crying with my kids, because the beauty of what we heard there, we will never hear it. And even though we have beautiful musicians in the world, the Russian music is the Russian music, and there is nothing that can be compared to that. The artistic way of doing things in Russia is different, but nobody knows that. So Russia has to push its culture out, and then other country has to welcome it.